Sandi Clarkson here with you today, sharing a process video for My Creative Scrapbook using the July limited edition kit. And this kit features papers from 49 Market's Little Celebrations collection. Here you can see me working with the wood grain paper that I want to add to my background sheet. And I'm using my zero ruler there so I can kind of tell where the center is, because I want to line that vertical piece up and down in the center. And I've already marked there at the bottom of my paper where it needs to go. So anyway, I'm using some of my Barely glue that I've been using throughout the kit. And I've got a little piece of embellishment that I'm going to be adding in. And I think you've already seen it, but it's a little newsprint piece, and I cut it in half this time so that I could use it in two different places. I want to tuck it in right there in the upper right, and then I have another piece that I'm going to put down a little bit lower. So I was looking at it there. I wanted to make sure it was where I wanted it to be before I added my adhesive. And so there is the other one, and having to work my way in there because I must have, had adhesive go too far. I was estimating, where it would need to not be placed on there. So that just adds a little bit of interest to the page. And then at some point I'm going to have to come back and trim away just a little bit up at the top because the layered piece of paper seems a little longer. Anyway, there you see me bringing in a banner that is from the laser cuts, and it's a very fine, intricate little banner. But I thought this would be cute because this is the birthday girl's birthday, and I hadn't used the banner yet, so I thought this would be a good place for it to go. And so it's kind of delicate. I just glue it in a couple of places so that it can kind of move around, and I don't have to adhere every single piece until I get it in position. The photograph is one of the grandkids, and her name is Mila, and she really is a very confident, boisterous child, but in the photo she's looking a little bashful and shy. The photo is in color, but I changed it to black and white because it had some really bright pinks and purples and everything. She's wearing a little unicorn outfit for her party because she's having a unicorn party. And there you can see me just looking for a paper that I want to use to mat the photo. I did leave some white edges around the photo when I printed it, but I wanted to go ahead and do more matting. I think that just really helps bring interest to the focal area, which should always be your photo or your motto or whatever you're documenting. So there she has a little tree branch in her hand, and so she's kind of got it up toward her mouth. But it's a sweet little photo, and she's sweet. She is just full of energy. I'm going to mount the photo on a little piece of corrugated cardboard because I'm going to be using some of those three-dimensional flowers, and I want to be sure that, my photo is elevated because the three-dimensional flowers are kind of large, and I don't really want to take them apart. I'd like to use them as they are. And there I'm using one of the small index cards that comes in the embellishment pack, and it's got balloons on it. It looks really cute, and so that's going to be kind of a layering piece. And then I think I bring in another piece of corrugated cardboard and bring my photo up a little bit more now that I've got that additional layer already in place. And I just kind of am wanting to give those flowers something to rest against, is why I'm doing a double layer there. And I do it in the center kind of so I can do any tucking that I want to do. Which one of those elements is going to be the viewfinder. I'm using my T-square there to go ahead and have it in place, kind of so I can make sure that my photo is lined up. I figured it would just, the wood grain itself would help me, but I wanted to be sure that it was straight. And there I'm just using some distress vintage photo on the viewfinder to help it pop. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it down on the right hand side of my photo. There's a couple of the viewfinders in the kit, so you'll be able to use them in a couple places. If you happen to be able to cut them in half, you could even use more. And then I brought in some elements from the laser cuts, the hot air balloon, and then the regular balloons. And I got a couple of smaller ones with, you know, a little group of 3 as far as the balloons. And I know I want to use them on either side of the photo. And then down below, I want to add some packages. And so there are several different ones in the laser cuts, but that's where they're from. And then I also am going to decorate them with the floral cluster there that's from the laser cuts. And that's just to give the packages something to rest on, if you will, so they won't just be floating in the air with nothing to ground them. So there I'm putting foam squares on the hot air balloon. And then I'm going to put it in place. You could even do multiple on the hot air balloons because there's a number of them in the laser kit. And they're different sizes, so they would make a nice clustering as well. But I wanted to use the balloons in this case. And I do later bring in another set of balloons to kind of augment what I have on the left-hand side. But this is the first one. And although this kit is very neutral, I have found it really easy to work with. And, you know, once I got started on creating, which I was kind of delayed because of personal things going on, but things just went together really easily. And I just breezed right through the kit. Whereas I thought, you know, it might be hard to, you know, think of different ways to use the neutral paper, but I really did, and didn't use any mixed media other than splattering. I do hope to get back into my normal mixed media more next month. So here I'm just adding some foam squares to those packages so I can get them put down. And then I kind of layer the second set of packages, you know, a little bit lower, but I only use 1 or 2 foam squares because they're going to rest against the other one. And I wasn't at her party, but I'm sure she got a lot of presents. I don't know if she got this many presents, but I'm sure she probably did. All right, so there is a little floral cluster that I really liked. I thought it would help that, you know, just complete that area right there. It would be a third item, plus it would be that grounding element that I was talking about. I do later come back in with another set of those florals, and I put them beneath the photo. But there, I was just trying that out. But anyway, there, that looks nice. I like that. So now I'm going to bring in these 3 colors with a brown, and one's a printed, kind of like a newsprint. And I have 2 brown flowers. One's a little bit larger than the other. And because I'm thinking about using one of them on the other side, I decided to use the larger one on the left-hand side. So there I'm just going to put in the cream one or newsprint one. And Pam did a great job of choosing the florals that she did to go with this paper collection. I think everything just goes together so seamlessly. And if you hear people outside, I've got tree trimmers here today, but I think they've moved on beyond the tree trimming, and now they're um, getting ready to do some sod for me. Now I'm bringing in some embroidery floss, and I decided I'm going to make a bow to put on that side. I thought about doing some hand stitching or embroidery, um, something like even French knots to use on the balloons or something would be really cute. But I just wanted to move a little more quickly, and I was kind of wanting some kind of ribbon anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. Here I'm bringing in that second set of balloons, and I have to really get in there to get them where I want them, but I'm auditioning them on the right hand side as well. And then, you know, I put them a little closer to the photo, and I was able to slide them in right there. And then there's already some glue there from where the flowers were just adhered. So I'm just going to put one foam square behind one of the balloons in the center, and then just depend on that glue to secure the other end. And then here I am. I already had the bow made, but I undid it for some reason. I think I was going to use multiple, more strands or something, but I think I just made 3 strands and then made a bow and nestled it up in there. That's not my dog. That's a dog from outside. I've just been trying to squeeze in this voiceover between people being out in the yard and making all kinds of noise. Alright, so I'm cutting those ends, and then I'm just going to stick the bow right up in there. I think it looks really nice. Wanted it to be kind of soft and just lay there, kind of rest there kind of delicately, and almost as a afterthought, if you will. I did try it on top, but I said, nah, didn't want to do that. So I'm going to put it right in there. And then I have a title piece that I'm going to add, and I think it says blow out the candles. And this was, if I recall correctly, this was a piece that was on the cover, or the back side of the cover for the laser cuts. And then here's that other floral cluster that I found in the laser kit and our package, and so I decided to add this because I felt like it needed a little something right in there. It seemed kind of bare, and so then it wasn't situated just like I wanted, so I tried using my tweezers to get it in there, but it still doesn't want to go in there where I want it. So on the third try, it went exactly where I wanted it to be. So that was good. And so then I bring in that fuchsia spray that comes in our kit this month, and I decide against it. And I was trying to think about using it as a, just a spray. But here I'm bringing in a couple of little birds, and I don't know that if I got the second bird on camera or not, but I did put one bird there, and then I put another bird down in the lower right hand corner. And here I've got some white acrylic paint, and I'm going to use that to distress my florals, and then to kind of tap over the page and kind of do my little signature sponging to distress the layout. So I do that, and I always like the way that looks. It takes a lot of practice to get it just like you want it, though. And then I'm going to use a little bit more, and this is going to be for splattering. I do have my photo covered. It looks like it's splattered on, but it's an acrylic piece that's been used. But anyway, here I am just mix up my water with my acrylic paint, and I'm going to splatter all over the page. I'm going to have details down below in the description box about how you can order a kit and how you can become a kit subscriber if you're not already. That way you don't ever miss a kit and, regret not being able to grab exactly what you want. So I'm really shabbying this one up, and I think I'm just about done. I do come back later and add some pearls. But there we go. I'm going to be having some close-ups for you to look at. I thank you for coming by today. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. See you next time, guys.